I guess first off, if you were to sum up your team this year, what would some of the front of mind things be when you think about this year's team?
I just think we're really gritty. I think we're playing really hard. Practices are so tough every day. Every day when we're competing, the other side of the net is like playing another team in the Valley is how we feel. I mean, it took us yesterday an hour and 15 minutes to win a drill to 6 points. That's how hard we had to play. And I talked about the fact that even though we're on a win streak, sometimes it takes you losing a match to really critically look at your team and figure out what it is you need to work on. But we lost during the week to our own team on the other side of the net. And I said that was the best thing that could have happened because it's keeping us fresh, it's keeping us competitive. So I just think we're playing really hard day in and day out, staying very focused.
So when you talk about that, on this streak that you guys are on right now, how do you keep them from becoming complacent? Like you said, you've got the best scenario where they can play and be competitive with each other, but how do you make sure that they maintain that?
Honestly, we don't really talk about the streak. We focus on one match at a time. Like right now, all we're focused on is Indiana State. I think they're a very good team. They battle every single time. Tracy gets them to play so hard. So we don't really talk about the win streak or the outcome or the end of the season or what our goals are right now. We just know that in the Valley, night in and night out, you got to be ready to compete and ready to play. And the only way to be ready to do that is to do your best every day in practice. So every single day we're practicing. We are getting ready for one match at a time and trying to get better that day to be better the next day.
One thing you said to me actually 2 years ago now, and it still stuck with me, talking about how competitive the league's been and that we're in this run over the next couple of years of multiple bid years for the league. Seeing it's no different this year.
Absolutely.
You guys are competitive, Wichita State, Northern Iowa, Southern Illinois State, go on and on and on. Talk about the effect top to bottom you think that's having now while we're in the thick of it. We're going to talk to Lily later. She's got back for you for another year. Illinois State's got players returning. Wichita State, we've got freshmen that are coming and make a difference. Top to bottom, what do you think about that and how the league could set up itself for the future?
Absolutely, it's huge. Like I said, I told you that 2 years ago. I felt we were on a real good upswing with the conference. We're going to be returning a lot of players. When you look at it, we have 4 teams in the top 58 in RPI right now, but our fifth place team, Illinois State right now, has a win over Utah, which is getting it done in the Pac-12. They have a win over Miami of Ohio, which is undefeated, killing it in the MAC right now, which is a top 35 RPI team. So that's how deep the Valley is. I like to mention that when I'm talking on our region call. You look at our fifth place team, that in itself right there tells you how competitive the Valley is. You got Loyola, Illinois State, and Drake still battling it out for that 6th spot. All of them have been able to get secure wins. Loyola sweeping Southern Illinois was huge. You got Drake that beat Illinois State. So it's a battle just for that 6th spot. And you can't overlook Evansville and Bradley, even though maybe record-wise they're not competing with the other 6 teams. They'll give you a run for their money because they've got coaches that are training their players well and they're competing and they're getting it done. You got a 1-match separation between 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place. I mean, once again, like last year, it came down to the very last conference match between us and Southern Illinois. We don't beat Southern Illinois, Wichita State's not the champion. I think the same thing's going to happen this year. It's going to come down to that very, very last weekend. Wichita State, Missouri State going to Southern Illinois. You've got all the top 4 teams, 5 teams battling it out over these next 2 weeks. That's how competitive the conference is this year.
Going back to your team now, start with your 2 seniors. Every year, we talk about the roles seniors play on each team. Talk specifically about these 2, what they've meant for this year's squad, and how you see them molding the next level of leadership for you guys going forward.
Simone House and Tatum Marshall are just awesome. I mean, first of all, Simone redshirted. I couldn't be more thankful for that. She is the fittest, most athletic she's been. The last 2 years, a complete transformation in her game. She's playing the game super high above the net. She's fast. The biggest improvement she made was attacking off 1 foot behind the setter. She's terminal. That's something where teams didn't really have to pay attention to her before. One of the best compliments we got was when we went to go play Illinois State and Melissa Myers saying, wow, you've really done a nice job with Simone House. She's really come along. I mean, that's what you like to hear from other coaches, and she's having such a great season because really the time she's put in the off season, in strength and conditioning, in the spring. So couldn't be more proud of where she's at. She's just so committed right now to wanting to take this team as far as we can go. Tatum Marshall, a kid that's been through so much personally. I've never seen a family with just more faith than what they have. So what she's been able to weather and endure in her time here, I told her I couldn't be happier that she was a Bear, that what she went through, although we don't wish that upon anybody, that she did that in our program, because I think we have an incredible volleyball family. Our volleyball program and staff is very close. I'm very close with her mom, just a wonderful family. To see what Tatum's been able to do, as well as she plays defense, those are two kids that set the standard in our gym every single day as far as work ethic. You never have to get on them for working hard. You never have to get on them for working hard in the classroom or just how they conduct themselves day to day. They are just two excellent role models on and off the court for our program.
Next year, that young lady that just came into the rooms will be a senior. Amazing enough, she's accomplished so much. First, I want to start with off the court.
Yeah.
How much she's accomplished, because some people don't know. We can see stats so much, but one thing that we often talk about, I was actually talking to a class today about how much the Valley recognizes our student athletes for academic achievements, and we do so much more than some other conferences. It sort of amazes me. Her stuff is unparalleled in a lot of different ways, and how she's able to keep it all together while being a student athlete. As a coach, how do you reflect on all that?
I went to a coaching summit in Colorado a couple years back with Terry Pettit, and one of the questions that he asked all the coaches is, what is it? What do coaches mean when they say this player has it or this team has it? And we all gave our definitions. Lily Johnson is it. She is that definition of it. She just works so hard in everything she does and carries herself with such class. It doesn't matter what coach I'm talking to in the Valley. A lot of times players will have images of what they think a player that's good is like. Arrogant, cocky. Lily's not those things. And so when I talk to coaches that will say, man, she's on the SAC committee in the Valley with my student athlete, and my gosh, they love Lily Johnson. They say, what a great person. She's so fun to work with. That's her. She's one of the most humble, loving, giving persons, which makes her it. What makes what she does so special. If you spend any time with her, sure, she's confident as can be on the court, and that's how you want your athletes. But off the court, she's the first one to give a high five. She's the first one to spend time with a young kid. She's the first one to give an autograph. She's the first one to do volunteer work. So she has it. And she's a great ambassador for our program on and off the court.
And of course, it's paying dividends on the court. Already been Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year. Weekly awards come rolling in all the time. And I asked you this before, and I'm asking it again, and I have a reason for asking it. Did you really see this panning out, how much she's accomplished on the court when she came in as a freshman?
I knew she was very special when I watched her play. And I think there were a lot of coaches that were recruiting her to be a libero or weren't sure if she was going to be big enough to play in the front row, maybe in the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. She had a lot of opportunities. And the first thing I said to her is, no matter what you do, even if it's not to become a Bear, don't sell yourself short. What you have is pretty special, and you can be a sixth rotation player on anybody's floor. So that was the biggest advice I gave to her. At that time, I didn't know she was going to come to Missouri State. She took multiple visits to our campus, which told me that she was taking her recruiting process very seriously, very thorough. Would come down sometimes by surprise, catch us off guard. Really wanted to see what did we do in our practice gym, how did we run our program, what were our players like. And then she befriended all of the freshmen that she was going to be coming in with, made strong bonds and strong contacts. She's very into team camaraderie and wanting the team to be tight. So it's a really, really special group. My parents are in town this weekend, and that's what I talk about. I talk about the fact that this isn't a group that I have to get on, that I have to challenge. Day in and day out, they're so driven. It's a really, really special group. And if we get beat, it's not because we're not giving our best or because we didn't prepare. We weren't the best team that night. Maybe the other team was better. But I never have to question Lily or question this group for coming every day, day in and day out, and being ready to play.
When you look around the league, and we're getting close to the end of the year, we'll be doing all conference awards, let's get to the tournament and everything. In my 6 years on staff, I've learned a lot about not just volleyball itself, but players themselves, how they are on the court, off the court. And we've got some pretty special ones throughout the league.
Absolutely.
Lily's one of them. For you, when you're looking around the league, it's pretty special when you get 4 teams into the NCAA tournament and these players are making a difference. As someone that represents us on that call you mentioned, talk about the sense of pride you get being a part of the Valley and knowing that we've got players that can stack up against the best of the best.
Oh, it's huge. There's nothing more exciting for me when I can call Bobby Peterson and say, hey, you know, you're going to be Region Coach of the Year, or when she was National Coach of the Year, or when athletes are not only making first team, but then I can call them and say, hey, she's going to be first team All-Region, so make that All-American video because she's going to have a shot of being an All-American. That's super exciting for me. I take great pride in it. I love wearing the Missouri Valley Conference hat. Yes, I'm a Bear through and through, and when we're competing, do I want to win? Absolutely. But when it's in the non-conference, our team understands we want all the teams in the Valley to win. We want all the teams to be successful. We want players to be healthy. We don't want to see players with injuries. We want to play teams when they're at their best. And when it's in the postseason, we're the first ones cheering for other teams, wanting to see them be successful in the NCAA tournament, knowing that we all carry our Valley hat, wanting to see players go forward. Or just when our players were at the USA tryout, they got to hang out with other players from the Valley. It was fun. They befriended players from Northern Iowa. They wanted to see them make those teams and be successful. So I think just the Valley in itself is so unique when our coaches are talking to the other coaches on each other's benches before the match, saying hello, greeting one another. One of the biggest reasons why I think the Valley is so successful, you have Chris Lamb, who's been at Wichita State, Bobby Peterson, who's been at Northern Iowa. I've been at Missouri State. You got Tracy Dahl now 9 years at Indiana State. You have coaches that have stayed at their programs, have stayed successful, and have all had opportunities to go on to other jobs. When Melissa Myers, they win the conference, I got to think she had other opportunities to move on. But that's what makes the Valley so special. Our coaches have bought in to this being a great volleyball conference. We do not treat it like it's a mid-major. No one talks about us being a mid-major volleyball conference. All we talk about is us being mentioned amongst the top 5-6 conferences because we are. We're a powerhouse conference in volleyball, and that's how we treat each other, and that's how we support one another.
Anything else you want to add?
Hey, go Valley. It's going to be another great year. Excited to see multiple teams get into the tournament and go on and be successful.